Hello, my name is Lexi McDonald, and I will be your next persuasive speaker. My timer is set at 00, counting upwards. Is it all right if I begin? Thank you. How do we punish it? We call this question justice, our quick response to wrongdoing. We see the mistake before we see the individual experiencing it, especially when it comes to drug use. Our current drug laws punish addiction, seeing it as a moral and legal failure rather than a mental and medical struggle, and the system needs to be reformed. Replacing incarceration with mandatory rehabilitation would replace punishments that fail with ones that actually work, holding people accountable to turn their lives around. Now today, I'm not arguing for policy, but rather to challenge your definition of justice in regard to drug use. There is a clear difference between punishment and restoration that I've seen in my own home, a difference we can find by first seeing what addiction truly is, a punishment that works, and finally, what justice is meant to accomplish. It starts with a moment of pain, an injured body or a broken mind, a prescription or an escape. The University of South Carolina follows a young high schooler, about my age, Lauren. After facing severe mental issues, Lauren lost herself to substance abuse. Her mind was so ill that she wished for a desperate measure of escape. And she's not alone in that story. The National Library of Medicine explains that in 2022 alone, over 4 million adults met the criteria for both substance abuse and poor mental illness. These two things often go hand in hand. One, a rewired mind, and the other, a chemically unstable mind. But this idea of addiction truly rewiring the mind is expanded upon by Yale University. They explain, quote, drugs flood the brain's dopamine pathways 10 times more than a natural reward. The mind remembers the surge and associates it with the addictive substance, end quote. Addiction truly rewiring the mind is widely debated. Some argue it's simple, that removal equals cure. Dr. Tim Holden touches on the other side of this debate, stating, quote, a patient with cancer is not cured if locked in a cell, whereas an alcoholic is automatically cured. No access to alcohol means no alcoholism, end quote. And you may find yourself agreeing with the sentiment, but ultimately, addiction is a much deeper issue. Therefore, it requires a deeper solution. It isn't merely moral, but it rewires your mind and rewires your heart. So therefore, we have to find a solution that touches the root cause of addiction. Otherwise, it will continue the moment the cell door opens. The Gateway Foundation explains that 85% of people in prison increase drug use after their release. Underneath the current problem is something we often overlook. Because addiction has a deeper cause, it requires a deeper solution. For decades, our primary response to drug possession has been one thing: punishment. And in doing so, it has created a cycle of harm that keeps people stuck. Today, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, 43% of inmates in federal prison are incarcerated for drug-related offenses. That's almost half. While some people are there for selling illegal substances, over 80% are merely due to non-violent possession. You cannot arrest a brain into healing. So we must find a counter solution in mandatory rehabilitation, not an escape from consequence, but redirecting the consequence towards something that actually works. Numerous other countries have begun implementing this reformed approach, but Portugal serves to be the most well-documented example. They switched from a punishment-based system to a treatment-based one, and the result wasn't chaos, but healing. Infections declined, overdose rates fell, and more people voluntarily sought help. What would it look like to implement this within the United States. Under this reform, non-violent first-time drug offenders would be sent to structured treatment centers rather than prison. Prison would still remain an option, but only when treatment fails. The system would simply prioritize recovery over retribution. While there will be some unwilling to try treatment in the first place, a social shift makes those feel more worth saving when they are deemed worth saving by people around them. Not a shift in their own hearts, but a shift in the hearts of others. And that alone is motivation enough to turn your life around. There comes a point when the question of justice moves beyond policy and practicality and into something deeper. Laws reflect what societies value, and how we treat the broken reveals what we understand about human worth. If justice is about punishment, then anyone who fails becomes worth less. But if it is about restoration, then even the broken are worth fighting for. So, what is justice meant to accomplish? Is it meant to punish or restore? The definition of justice has changed. It used to just be about punishment. A punishment we all deserve much worse than prison. But when Christ came, he changed the narrative. He showed us a new solution for justice, one that he fulfills by changing the punishment we deserve. When Christ walked through the crowd, countless hands of broken people reached out, desperate to touch him. But the woman with the bleeding, considered so unclean from her illness that society shunned her, called her worthless and dirty, she was the one Christ saw, the one he called out for her faith. Christ's justice is not about punishment. It is not about punishing the broken. It's about healing the sick. When we choose rehabilitation over incarceration, we are mirroring this model of justice, one that still acknowledges wrongdoing while believing in redemption. A justice that is able to heal what sin, brokenness, and addiction have torn apart. Addiction tears people apart, and I know that better than anyone. My dad spent his early adulthood struggling with this disease. When he married my mom, they had a daughter, me. But he almost lost both of us due to his internal struggles. Treatment didn't just save his freedom. It saved his home, his hope, and his life, his family. This needs to be the measure of justice. One we find by understanding that addiction is much deeper than a simple moral issue, a punishment that is able to heal lives, and then reaping that true justice that touches people across the country. Punishment has not healed families or restored homes. It didn't save the high schooler, Lauren, who after recovery advocates for treatment-based centers to this day. Punishment didn't give me late-night drives, singing 90 songs with my dad, or those long trips to tournaments where we talk about anything and everything. Punishment didn't give me a relationship with my dad that I wouldn't trade for anything. Treatment did. Judges, you have the power as citizens with a voice to shape outcomes. You can advocate for treatment-based programs, support rehabilitation, and most importantly, you can change your definition of justice. So, I ask again, how do we punish it? We need to stop asking this question and start asking the same question that Christ asked. How do we heal it? Thank you. My time was 9 minutes and 25 seconds.
9:25.
May I shake y'all's hands? Thank you.